Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reiki Radio. I am your host, Yolanda Williams, and today we are talking about increasing your life force. Now, before we get started today, I did want to take a moment to acknowledge the people who are new to Reiki Radio. I do get feedback all the time via email and sometimes, through word of mouth about people who are new to the show, and I really appreciate you being here and reaching out to me and letting me know what you enjoy and what you would like me to talk about. And then, of course, for all of you that have been around for some time, I really appreciate the fact that you're still here with me on my journey of evolution, because we have really grown a lot together throughout these last couple of years. And it's so funny, people tell me all the time that one of the reasons they love this podcast is because it helps them to grow and it helps them to understand, and they feel like they've learned a lot about themselves and just about this realm of spirituality. And admittedly, I'm sure I've said this before, but I have learned so much through you. I've learned a lot from you. I've learned a lot in our exchanges, from your emails. For those of you who have taken any of my classes or come to me for sessions, I learned from you too. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. I really feel like you're here as much for me as you feel I am here for you. So I just wanted to thank all of you for that. So much has been going on lately. I mean, I know I talked about it on the last few shows with the end of the year and the holidays coming up. There just seems like there's a lot going on. People are busy about trying to plan for Thanksgiving, which is, I believe, next week. And then, Christmas and New Year and all of these things, on top of us going through these personalized shifts of transformation and letting go and really trying to hone in on what it is we are doing and what it is we're creating, what matters to us, and so forth. So I thought it would be very important for us today to talk about increasing your life force, increasing that energy that moves us, that sustains us, that keeps us alive. We don't take the time all the time to acknowledge ourselves and what is sustaining us, our breath, this physical body, our organs, what we are feeding into our consciousness. All of this affects the quality of our life force energy, how we're functioning in the world, and what we're creating. But when we come to times like this time of year, where we have so much going on in our lives on top of our day-to-day routines, we tend to become very depleted and run down and just tired. And, oddly enough, it's when we need the most energy, right? So we're going to talk about that today. Now, just before we get started, I just want to point out that your life force is your breath. Your life force flows on your breath, okay? So your life force is that energy that animates all living things. So plants have a life force energy, and, animals have a life force energy. Now, our life force energy flows on our breath, like I mentioned, but our life force would be very different than, say, a tree. We're both alive and we both have this life force energy that animates us, but it works through us in different ways. So ours travels on the breath, which makes our breath very vital to us, very important. And we breathe unconsciously, but when we take the time to breathe consciously, it changes the game. Now, for those of you, you may know if you have a panic attack or get anxiety, one of the first things people will tell you to do is what? Breathe. But breathe in a very calming way, because you can control your energy and how you feel, your physical functionality, by controlling your breath. it makes an impact on your vital organs and what is happening to you in a physiological sense. So, your breath is very important. And when we take the time to notice how we are breathing, it can make a huge difference in our life force and the level of our life force. If we feel rejuvenated, if we feel replenished, or if we feel just very low energy. So a lot of people who take yoga may be familiar with focusing on the practice of pranayama, focusing in on our prana, our breath. And again, it's because of how significant it is to our life and our life force. So I want you to, this week, depending on, if you notice that you're feeling a little off, or you notice that you're feeling depleted or run down, or maybe you just need a moment to check in with yourself, to calm down. Give yourself a moment to be with yourself, by yourself, in a quiet space, and focus on your breath. Just breathe. And allow yourself to take some deep, nurturing breaths. A lot of times we're moving and we're in motion and we're going so quickly, we're barely breathing. But like literally, we're barely breathing. It's very shallow. It's not deep and replenishing. So give yourself space and time to take some cleansing, intentional breaths, to let yourself feel the life force moving through your body. Feel the energy moving through your veins, moving through your skin. The air and the energy surrounding you. Let yourself notice, witness, feel all of this. Everything that is supporting your life, really. And can help you increase your life force. Now, I believe I've talked to you about this on the show before, but maybe not. But when it comes to our physicality, we are taught how to take care of ourselves, how to take care of our physical bodies. We know we have to eat well, we know we need to stay hydrated, and we know we have to sleep, be well rested. Those are some of the main components of taking care of our physical being. But we aren't really taught how to take care of ourselves energetically or from a spiritual level. So just like we need food and water and rest, we also need things like meditation, conscious breathing, to help us maintain balance and to help us keep like these healthy levels of our life force. Healthy, balanced levels of your life force moving through you. So when we talk about the physicality, we could think about what we feed our bodies. If you listened to the show a couple of weeks ago, during the new moon, I told you that on the night of the new moon, I was planning on eating a pomegranate. Well, I did. And as I was eating this pomegranate, I kept hearing, from my guides, the importance of feeding yourself life. The importance of nourishing our bodies with life. And I thought this was a really interesting concept because I had never thought before about the fact that a lot of times I'm feeding myself death. When I'm feeding myself these things that are unhealthy for me, say I don't feel like, preparing a meal and I go to get fast food or whatever it is I ingest that isn't feeding me life, I have to now ask myself, what am I feeding me? If it's not life, what is it? And for me personally, I think that's going to be a huge game changer in my life. Because since I heard that message and since that came through, the significance of feeding myself life, I have consciously been aware of what I ingest, like more so than normal. So feeding yourself life, that's going to increase your life force naturally. And we can think, oh, if I eat healthy, then I'm going to be healthy. But there's something about that. I don't know if it's because it's drilled in us so much, or we hear that so often that it starts to just become like background noise. Hearing it in this way, to feed myself life, really stood out to me. And understanding the importance of what I'm ingesting and how it is affecting not just my physical body, but my life force as a whole, how I feel. And of course, people who are out there who are nutritionists, they will tell you all the time, not just you are what you eat, but your nutrition will affect how you feel, will affect your moods, will affect your energy levels. This is all intertwined. So let's get back to the spiritual side of things. Meditation, the conscious breath, what you feed your mind, how you nurture your levels of consciousness. Are you feeding your consciousness life, or are you feeding in death into your consciousness? Now, I think about it from an energetic standpoint. One of the most damaging things to us is fear. That vibration of fear. Not only does it hold us back from certain things, but it literally can have a physical impact on us. When we're afraid, when we're stressed, when we're worried, think about how that takes a toll on your physicality, from having maybe back pain to getting ulcers or upset stomach or having heart problems, high blood pressure. It's all interconnected. So, when we think about increasing our life force, sustaining the energy that animates us, keeping ourselves not just alive, but alive and well, alive and flourishing, feeling good in these physical bodies, waking up and feeling energized, feeling replenished and whole, right? We have to consider what we are feeding ourselves in a physical sense and what we are feeding ourselves energetically. And then, of course, we have the maintenance. To maintain ourselves, you may do exercise for the physical side, and you may do energy work like Reiki for the energetic side. Remember, we are both physical and non-physical beings. So naturally, it would make sense that we would take care of ourselves in a physical and non-physical sense. One of the main things I wanted to talk about in terms of increasing our life force too is I know that there are a lot of people who become really depressed around the holidays. And people may feel disconnected, a lack of motivation. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation that comes up for so many people around this time of year. So not only are we looking at the possibility of family issues, either not having a family to connect with or having issues with the family we have. And then there's also the feeling of expectation. People get stressed out over gift giving and even just what to bring when you're invited to dinners and things like this. So it can cause this energetic buildup, this energetic congestion, where people end up very depressed and stressed out. So if you find yourself feeling any of these energies, feeling overwhelmed during the holiday season, stop and consider what you are doing to your life force. Are you feeding and nurturing your life force? Life or death? Are you making sure you have the time to take care of you, to nurture you, to eat, to stay hydrated. That's something I have to personally keep myself on top of all the time. Drinking water, I don't know why. It's not really my favorite thing to do, but once I start, I drink so much because typically I'm not as hydrated as I should be. But it's important, the balance for us. If you find yourself in overwhelm, if you find yourself depressed or stressed out, consider what you are feeding yourself in a spiritual sense. Are you taking time, even when you don't feel like it, which is when we usually need it most? Are you taking the time to connect with yourself, to go into a meditation, to acknowledge and address whatever is hurting you, to acknowledge and address whatever is making you feel heavy, or has you in fear, or has you in confusion? It's going to stay there and get heavier until it's acknowledged. And because we have so much going on day to day, and because we have so many different experiences and so many people we exchange with day to day, it's better to deal with things as they come so we don't end up with this pile up. We have enough layers to work through. A lot of us are still working on healing things from our childhood, healing things from past lives even. So when things come up that are very obvious for us in our day-to-day, it's, I would say, a good idea to deal with it in that moment, to give yourself less things, less layers to have to deal with and work through. So, on the flip side of this, of what can happen around this time when we're feeling, maybe a lack of motivation or feeling disconnected, another thing that can really help you get through this is keeping at the forefront what motivates you, what moves you, what makes you feel alive. And when you catch yourself in those moments of, the woe is me, which we all go through here and there, consider how you can help someone else. Now, I'm not saying not to acknowledge the woe is you, because of course you should. And if there's someone that you feel can help you, reach out to them. But there is always something so humbling that gives us a very good perspective when we are able to come out of our own issue to help someone else through theirs. So help someone else. How can you help? I mean, it could be a friend. A lot of people volunteer at the holidays, passing out food for Thanksgiving and things like that. Challenge yourself to do something different. And again, consider what moves you, what matters to you, what makes you feel good. Take time to do that, especially during this time that can be so high stress. It could be as simple as keeping your favorite song in your CD player and hitting play anytime you feel the need, you need to just break out and dance. It doesn't always have to be these huge things that we do to make us feel good. So, for example, a friend of mine, she and I were talking about how desperately we would love to have some time to go get massages and just, have a girls' day, friend time. And while that sounds wonderful, it takes a little more coordination. So what ended up happening is she and I and another friend, we just met up at our other friend's house. We sat outside and talked. That's it. We just sat, had girl talk, laughed, and acknowledged how good it was to be in each other's space. And that did it. So the point is, it's even the little things sometimes that we overlook or take for granted that help increase our life force. We have to connect with other people. We have to connect with ourselves. We have to be mindful of what we are feeding ourselves, how we are engaging in our lives. Are you too focused on work? Are you overly consumed with what needs to be done that you don't even recognize or connect with the people who have been a part of your life? Not only does that put a strain on relationships, it's also putting a strain on you. Speaking of connections, I am currently doing a weekly meditation series called Fill Up with Love, a 44-day expansion of light. So if you do listen to the show regularly, you've already heard about this. And this meditation series is absolutely free. But the meditation this week was all about connections and about our connection not only to ourselves, but to all that exists. So I would recommend to any of you, if you haven't done this meditation challenge yet, I would recommend trying it for yourself for two reasons. One, to increase your life force energy, and that's by way of feeding your consciousness by taking the time to do meditation for yourself daily, but also by inviting in more love. The vibrations you hold in your space affect your life force. So if you are taking the time to release, intentionally transform and release any fear, doubt, worry, all of those types of lower vibrations in your space, and then taking the time to consciously invite in and connect with the vibration of love, imagine if you did this daily. So you can. I have the guided meditation series up and available for anyone who goes to my website, which is yewchi.com. That's YEWCHI.com. And on the home page, you will see a photograph that says 44-day expansion of light. And if you click there, you will have access to all of the meditations. So right now there are 6 of them up, and next week will be the final one. So there will be 7 recorded meditations available for you. So do that. Do those to help you with your life force energy. Now, that's really all I wanted to talk to you about today. I just really thought it was an important thing for us to take a moment to consider, because we don't necessarily think about our life force while we're going about our day. And we may say, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, and we blame it on or think it's just because we are extending ourselves. Maybe we're working too much, not getting enough rest. But there are so many other components that if we take the time to feed ourselves life in every aspect of our being, we create balance. And then we don't overexert ourselves, because we start to prioritize ourselves. We start to put us first, because then we start to know what it feels like to be alive, what it feels like to be nurtured, what it feels like to be cared for and loved by ourselves. So it just naturally has an effect, like a domino effect, to the rest of our life with how we show up, how we treat ourselves moving forward, and then of course how we end up treating everyone else. Now, another thing I wanted to point out really quickly, as far as, increasing our life force energy, but along with this meditation series, I had to invite in more love. As so many of you know, we just have so much tragedy and a lot that happens in this world that we live in. And I personally can't watch the news every day because it does really affect me. But you can't avoid what's going on in the world. And I've said on different shows before, just you taking the time to work on yourself and transforming your consciousness, makes an impact on the whole because we are all connected. And so this is very true. And when you look at the times that we're living in, it is so important now for us to wake up. Wake up and love yourself, because it's the only way you're going to be able to love everyone else. It's the only way you're going to be able to love, honor, and respect other people is if you love, honor, and respect yourself. We all play a part. And of course, we can help in so many ways. But one of the most effective things we can do is helping to make a shift in this consciousness because it's shared. And so think about what you are holding in your field, even in terms of that. When you speak about what's going on in the world, what are you saying? Are you feeding words of death and hate out into the field? Or are you sending vibrations of love and compassion for those who are hurting? Love, hoping that people who are doing things that are hurting people may come around. Sending love their way. We never know what is going on with people. We don't know. But we do have control of what we contribute energetically, what we contribute in our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and our actions. We all play a part. So I hope that you all will walk away from today's show thinking about your life force energy, thinking about that beautiful life force energy that animates you, that gives you life, that you pay attention to your breath, that you acknowledge this breath, this energy is literally sustaining you. Get to know your breath. Notice what it feels like when you breathe in different ways, what your physical response is, how you feel energetically. Commit to drinking more water. Think about if you're feeding yourself life when you eat. Acknowledge how much rest you're getting, what you're feeding and holding in your state of consciousness. As always, I am so thankful, like I said at the start of the show, to have you all here with me. And actually coming soon, possibly next month, but definitely by 2016, I have some new online courses that I'm launching because I receive messages all the time from my students and other people about classes you would love for me to teach. So I am very excited. You all will receive information about that coming soon, these new online courses that are launching. So be sure that you are signed up for my newsletter, which is free, and that's at yewchi.com. That's YEWCHI.com. And for all of you on the newsletter, don't forget that you have access to the Creating with the Moon and Stars workbook. So you can, throughout this whole year, 2016, go month by month connecting with the energy of each sign to learn more about the signs, but also how to navigate your journey with more ease, understanding, and awareness. And then, as you know, each month we talk about the new and full moons. So I will see you all next week, which will actually be during the full moon. I hope that you have a beautiful night, and remember to always journey in love.